My name is Jared Gillespie. I am your host, co-founder, and CSO here at Fusion Power. Today, we're going to be talking to Cameron Van Noy, who is the call center manager here at Fusion Power. Cameron is going to be talking to us about strategy and about analysis of how to properly run a call center, the benefits and risks of running a call center, as well as the future of lead generation through a call center here in the 2024 and 2025 seasons. This is an episode you don't want to miss. Let's get started. Cam, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here. You just hit your, fourth year with Fusion Power?
Yeah, 4.5 years now.
4.5?
Yeah.
That's been a fast tenure.
Yeah, it is. It's that solar coaster, fast and slow. Sometimes it seems like it's just happened, and sometimes it seems like it's a lifetime.
You look back over the 4 years, how would you describe your tenure here? I mean, you've done a few different roles here, and now you're running our call center and having just a knockout first quarter here. Had an incredible year last year. Tell me about your experience over the last 4 years.
Yeah, so moved over from merchant services. I was running a call center for a long time. It was a little bit of a shift going into solar, the door-to-door side of it. But I think it was really good to get an understanding for what our guys do in the field. Did that for about 6 months and then started closing deals in the home. It was good. Again, teaches you what you need to know, and then finally transitioned into my bread and butter, what I love to do, which is manage a call center, work with people, train people, hire people. It's been fun, but I finally feel like I'm able to do what I'm passionate about, and the numbers have proven it.
You kill it. You're doing just an amazing job. You're a great leader for those people, and not just at work, but just who you are. I mean, we've had a lot of conversations, and I know the struggles that a lot of your employees have had that you've personally helped them with, and so I appreciate that, and I honor you for just the dedication that you have to your people.
I appreciate it.
You're an incredible leader. And then you juggle all of that with the fact that you live halfway to Wickenburg.
3/4.
Right? You're going back and forth between work, but then you juggle that and have an incredible family as well. Great dad. I know your girls are just killing it in their different things. How do you have that balance, that work-life balance of making sure that you're there as a dad and as a husband and still be able to perform the way you do at work?
I think that's the benefit of the call center, right? As a sales rep, I think work-life balance, you try to find it, but you're always running deals, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. With the call center and with what we do, I put when I'm here, my focus is here. Right, building my team, working with my people, working with the things that they're struggling with personally as well as business. And then when I get home, I somehow turn it off and I have my time with my family and the sports and what we do until they go to bed. And then I turn it back on and I do what I have to do to run the numbers and make sure that everything is up to speed here. So it's fun. I enjoy what I do, and it just makes it easy. And my family's integrated into Fusion. We're a part of it. They love it. They're passionate about what we do. I talk about the numbers with them, and it excites them as much as it does me.
It's awesome. Well, you certainly exemplify the core values of family first and add value and tenacious grit for sure. So thank you for that. So I want to have you give you a little bit of a chance just to kind of do a little bit of bragging here. Okay, as you look at, and we all know the numbers and stuff like that, tell us about the call center's contribution to Fusion Power's success over, even from the beginning, even maybe before the guys that ran it before you, but particularly what you've been able to do in the last little while.
Yeah, so I took over the call center end of 2021, so I kind of look at it from there. What have we grown? How have we grown? Did we grow? And the answer is yes, right, in each of those. So from 2021 to 2022, we had about a 30% growth in overall business. 2022 to 2023, we had about 27% growth. This year, we're trending about 19 to 22%. But year over year from 2021 to 2024, we're up a little over 215% from where it was at that time. Yeah.
It's incredible. And we've made a lot of adjustments. We've made significant investment into the call center to make sure that you have the resources that you need, and you've done a phenomenal job developing those systems. Taking a look at kind of the trajectory of where we're at, the business plan that we've set out for the year, making sure that we're hitting our quarterly goals. How are you feeling about first quarter, month over month? How did this first quarter go for you?
First quarter was phenomenal. We finished with about 35% of company business, right? For me, I'm always in competition with what did we do the previous quarter? What did I do year over year, quarter after quarter? And then when our guys are hot and they're crushing it from week to week, I'm always looking at what does our self-gen business look like? How can I maintain over 30 to 40% of that business? So when they're having a huge week, we have to incentivize, we have to motivate our guys to keep calendars full so we can maintain, and you guys don't make it easy on us for us to maintain that 35, 40%.
What would you say the overall benefit is to have a call center as a company?
I'd say first and foremost, it's just the predictability and sustainability. And what I mean by that is we have a huge operation here, right? Fusion has done tremendous things, and we have a ton of employees that require that we are hitting a certain number of deals and installs to maintain what we have. So with our consistency and our ability to produce 15 to 20, 25 deals a week, it allows us to maintain what we have, but also to grow the sales force and to work on training our teams out in the field as we continue to build.
In addition to the consistent volume that it gives operations, and I'll give a little side note on this, is with solar being such a cyclical business and such a seasonal business, installers really struggle, right? You go from a ton of sales in the summer to nothing in the winter. That puts a lot of companies out of business with their cash flow issues. And so the nice thing about having a call center, although it is very expensive to do, it gives you a baseline of work to keep everybody still working operationally. It's not easy to figure out. It's very difficult. We'll get into a little bit of that. But in addition to that consistent, predictable volume, it's a huge benefit for our sales reps. What do you do to try, what's kind of been your goal in servicing our reps with everything that you guys do?
Yeah, it really helps with guys that supplementing the hard work that putting in on the doors, right? When they're in a territory and we see that they have a couple of appointments or they have a missing gap, we try to fill that. It helps them to kind of build a network of business. A lot of our guys, they don't just make the commissions and the bonuses off of what they're selling for us, but their book of business grows and their referral game, right? When you're selling 3, 5, 7 deals a week from the call center, and now you have a huge network of business, you're getting referrals from that. You're getting reward attachments. There's a lot that it can do to drive additional business. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits that the reps are seeing from it too.
Let's talk about the risks of running a call center from a company standpoint, from an investment, and then maybe as a manager from where you're sitting. But what are the overall risks in having a call center?
Yeah, so you can look at it and you can say, hey, we're pacing for over 5 megawatts this year, over $25,000 in revenue, and it's like, hey, everyone should be doing it. But
25 million.
Oh,
you said 1,000.
I apologize. 25 million in revenue. If it was 25,000, they wouldn't have me here. The $25 million in revenue, and with that, it seems like it's a no-brainer. Everyone should do it, but there's so many risks that go into it. Biggest being profit, right? If you're not paying attention to all of the numbers, it's quick to be upside down to where you're spending more than the revenue you're bringing in, and at that point, it doesn't make sense. So it's paying attention to all of the moving pieces while going 100 miles an hour. Things like how many leads we're issuing, what is our lead spend, what is the quality of the leads, what's the sit percentages, what's the pull through, what's the reward attachments. All of these things have to be firing perfectly in order for it all to work. If one thing is off, you're in a bad spot.
So you mentioned several kind of components there. Those are the things that you're really looking at as like trying to manage risk, right? We're saying, okay, what are our costs amongst all these categories? Let's dive into a couple of those a little bit. How do you go about measuring and determining, is this lead source a good lead source or not?
The magic question. It's looking at what am I spending? How many leads is that producing? Of those leads that it's producing, what is actually sitting? What is closing? What is installing? Now you take that total cost by the amount of volume that's installed, and it gives you that number. When we look at our red lines and what our cost is, we effectively need to keep our employee payroll cost at a certain number and our lead spend cost. And as soon as you see something's off, there's red flags, and you have to make quick adjustments, right? You have to detach from it emotionally, look at the numbers of it, and then decide this lead source is not working well. We need to pivot to a new lead source, or drop the lead spend here, invest it over on this side, and it's always changing.
And how often are you making that analysis?
Daily when it comes to our lead sources, daily when it comes to payroll. We're always looking at what is most effective for the business, right? The business is about relationships, but at the end of the day, it's also the numbers of the business. I can love you and I can love the lead vendor that I'm buying from, but when the numbers don't make sense, you have to make that move. So when you're talking about the lead vendors, we switch those, we change those and change the volume that we're spending with them. From a week-to-week basis.
And, we get approached by different lead vendors on the daily, probably, right?
Yeah, all the time.
There's a lot. It's a big business out there to try and sell solar leads. What are the things that you're looking for to vet a lead source?
A few different things. One is what comes with what you're getting. Is there a return policy on duplicates? Is there a return policy on numbers that show up on our internal do not call list? What does it look? What is your cost per lead? What markets can you supplement me? What markets do you have enough lead volume in? All of these things play a factor for the conversations to get started. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's what are the results, right? Everyone will tell you everything that's great about what they do, and then once you start to actually put it into play, it's all about closing. It's about what is returning into not just a close, but an install that stays on the books. One of the benefits of our call center and what we do is just the structure. Our guys are trained up really well from the beginning. It's not always about the highest quality lead. I need a live breathing person, and we train them on how to push pain, how to push value, how to build interest, and how to set a high quality lead. So it's about those transitioning and turning into the results.
So that's lead source, right? Mitigating and trying to control that cost.
Yeah.
Now you have labor. This is where it gets a lot more complicated because you have a lot of people that you're dealing with, a lot of personalities, a lot of experience, a lot of expectations, a lot of ebbs and flows. Tell me about managing the cost of labor and how in the world do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's the fun of the game, especially in our room, because I'm a big believer in I'd rather pay my people than I would pay for the leads. So getting the cheaper leads, right? Cheaper. When you're talking about the cost of buying a lead, you then are spending more on the labor. So I always say this, the resume gets you to the table. It's what you do from there that brings you on board. So we're looking when we're hiring, we're looking at attitude, we're looking at energy, we're looking at their tone, their confidence. That gets you the job. And then from there, we're looking at what are you doing in the first few weeks, right? So we're looking at weeks one through 2. You have to set at least 3 appointments. Of those 3 appointments, at least one has to sit. If one of those don't sit, we have to move on. From there, we look at it again at 4 weeks, right? After 4 weeks, you should have 10 appointments that have sat. You should have at least a deal from there. If not, it doesn't make sense for us from a business standpoint. And quite frankly, it doesn't make sense for the setter because they're not going to be making the money they want. So we're looking at these. It seems really cutthroat when we're doing so, but it has to be. And if you're not, you find yourself really upside down in your labor cost, and your CPAs look good, but then your labor cost is super high, and it just doesn't make sense.
Tell me some of those metrics that you're looking at. You said, initially as they're starting out, we're looking to make sure that they're at least setting appointments, right? Because that's number one. If you can't set an appointment, you're not going to get a deal closed. What are some of those other metrics that you're looking for beyond the setting of appointments to say, okay, this person is somebody we need to stay on the team or somebody that we need to have move on?
Yeah, so for me, I'm militant when it comes to attendance. So showing up and being here and being punctual, that's one thing I'm looking at. But from the metric side of the leads, how many leads are you setting? That's probably the most important. And then from there, how many of those are getting through confirmation and dispatch? How many are being issued to our team? And then of those, how many are sitting? Are you actually meeting with?
And that's number one, right? Because you know, as a lead setter, I can't control if you close the deal.
Correct.
But if I can get enough, good pitches for you, you have enough good looks, you're gonna crank a couple.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at in those metrics from our room is I want you to be able to set. If you set 10 appointments, 8 of those should hit the field. Right? You're gonna have a 20% that are canceling on confirmation or need to be rescheduled. Of those 80% that hit the field, you should have a 50 to 60% sit rate. That means that they're there, they have a high utility bill, the spouse is there, the credit's there, a high qualified lead. Any of those missing, it turns into what I see as a non-qualified lead. From that 50 to 60%, we typically see anywhere from 35 to 50% close ratios. Top guys close at 60, 70, 80%, and our lower tier guys are closing at 20, 30, 40%, and then so those are the numbers that we look for it to make sense.
Which is the other side of the coin for you. You've got this, okay, I need to recruit, develop, train, keep my guys accountable, balance the lead sources, and keep that cost down at least of getting appointments sat. But now I have the whole other side of these appointments need to get closed. Well, number one, the appointment needs to get set, but I need to make sure that they get sat. And I need to make sure that they have good closing and, most importantly, that they have good pull-through. So now you're also managing a whole bunch of reps to actually get those. So tell me about how do you guys figure out how are we going to make sure that this pull-through takes place?
Yeah, that's probably the most difficult part because I don't train the reps, right? I'm not a sales manager. I'm not a sales trainer for them. So I'm going off of numbers that they've done in the past, their energy, their attitude when they're coming and asking for, hey, I've closed a few leads, which we have minimum requirements to even get on company leads. You have to have 10 self-generated leads or 10 self-generated installs with a really high pull-through so we don't see these huge cancellation rates. And then so we're looking at that, and then it's maintaining that. It's looking at, okay, so if I've given X rep this many leads, how many has he closed? What's his reward attachments look like, or her reward attachments look like? What is that pull through percentage? And we run these reports daily. So every lead that is issued to the field, our reps put notes in, they give us an explanation of what happened with the lead. And quite frankly, if you're not maintaining that 40% or above close percentage, you move down to the bottom of that list until you go generate some more self-generated business. We also have guys that consistently stay above, and they sell really, really well, really lucrative deals for us and lucrative deals for themselves. And they have reward attachments on all deals. We have quick installs. And that's what makes it fun when you're able to see a guy push 3, 5, 7 deals a week, and they don't say no to any lead. They take every lead that they can, and they close at a high percentage. Those are the guys who we start to really feed and help them while we're supplementing the other guys' calendars.
So let's talk a little bit about policy. So let's say we have everything dialed in, right? We've got a good labor cost, we've got a good lead generation, we have a good sitting ratio, and we even have a good closing ratio. It all doesn't matter if these jobs don't get to install. So what are some of the things that you have focused on, or maybe some adjustments that you've made over the last several months to try and improve our overall pull-through? And again, a lot of this is completely out of your hands, but every little millimeter that we can try to control is going to be helpful. What have you tried there?
I think the biggest thing is just setting the expectation in the very beginning with the sales rep, right? Talking to them about, know that when company leads with what our red line is, sell it to where it makes sense for the customer, but you can still obviously feed your family. I think that's huge. Second from there is the reward attachments. When you're attaching one of our rewards that we do, our AeroSeal, our insulation, our HVAC chip, we get these installed quickly. What does that do? It makes the job stickier. When the job's stickier, customers happier, they're already seeing a reduction in their energy cost before we even install solar. So making sure that all of our reps understand why it's so important. And although I'm not a part of it, our retention team, right? If a job is looking to cancel or move on, our guy, Ryan, he jumps on it right away. make sure that he's able to stay in communication with these guys, get them back on board, and just seeing as we do all parts of these efficiently, it's definitely helped to reduce our cancellation costs and see that pull through go up.
Love it. Where do you see the call center going?
Sky's really the limit. With the way our system is built and the people that we have in the room, we're crushing the solar game, right? We do really well there, but we have the ability to pivot and add, whether it's our Fusion Home Services products, right? The aero seals, as I mentioned earlier, the insulation, roofing. We're able to generate high opportunities for those as well. As soon as that gets turned on, you'll start to see huge numbers there.
I'm really excited about that, right? I mean, solar is awesome. We all love it. We're all passionate about it. But having these ancillary products to include in solar packages to use with solar financing, it allows customers to have really important products that they've never been able to get before.
Yeah.
And it also allows additional sales channels. I mean, a whole roofing division that doesn't even have anything to do with solar. I mean, that really gives the company a pretty cool advantage and gives sales reps a really awesome and unique opportunity, and allows you to build out a whole other department that just focuses on completely different products.
Yeah, it's exciting, the moves and the changes that we're making. You don't get this with a lot of companies. You're usually stuck in one segment of the business, and this is what you do. But the fact that we're opening up and giving options to help homeowners in many different ways is huge.
And this is going to be a major growth phase for Fusion as we continue to launch these products. Anytime you grow, it requires a lot of new process, a lot of new systems, and a lot of really, really good people. What is kind of your thoughts as you're prepping for that? What do you want to make sure that you have to ensure that we have both the growth and the proper people in place?
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes back to the hiring process we talked about, right? What we're looking for in the interview process, that confidence, that tone, that energy. We build a family in that room. It's not just go do your job. Here's a script. Go figure it out. Our training process is in the beginning with our training manager. He does a great job of really getting the people up to speed quickly to know what they need to say, how they need to say it, what's happening with the utility companies, what are the benefits, what are the pitfalls that other solar companies are doing, and then the leadership within the room with our business unit leaders who are there to support our staff on a day-to-day, question-to-question, minute-to-minute basis. They're really there to help give them the proper training, allow them to listen to their own calls and self-assess. I think that is really what has helped push and prepare us for all of the moves that we've made.
What I love too is that you take somebody who maybe doesn't even have a whole lot of experience.
They're my favorite.
They do well, and then they get promoted to one of these leadership positions. And I think that's going to be key to growth as well, is that anybody who really wants to be here long term and wants to have leadership, I mean, like you said, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and I love, I call it a blank canvas. When someone has no sales experience and they're entering the call center from an entry-level position, the benefit of that is they don't have bad habits that they've picked up somewhere else, and you get to train them on what they should do and to see their growth, to see their confidence, to see their numbers hit all-time highs. And then, as you mentioned, being able to promote and to move into new roles within all different parts of the company, right? There's a ton of people who started in our call center who work in many different divisions at Fusion, and it's because they have that grinder mentality, the no complaining, the no quit. How do we help not just the homeowners, but how do we help our sales reps hit better numbers, feed and provide for their families? And it is really cool to see that.
I love it. What would you say, what advice would you give somebody that's interested in starting up a solar call center right now?
Don't do it. No. Lean on us, right? We've perfected it. But if you're truly looking at building your own call center, it's a lot of hard work. There's so many moving pieces. It's like changing a tire going 100 miles an hour down the freeway. It's difficult to do, but it's possible. You have to build the team the right way. You have to have the right vehicle to do it with. It takes a lot of capital. I mean, you can attest to that. It takes a lot of money to build what we've done, but it also takes a lot of focus on all of the little things. And if you're not prepared for it, if you think it's easy just to make phone calls and you're going to get a ton of leads and it's going to be super profitable, you may be in for a rude awakening. I don't say it's not possible, but know that you're going to have to invest, and you're going to have to work on training and building and finding the right lead sources. I don't ever give anyone my lead sources. I'll give you advice, but I won't give you my sources.
What are the biggest obstacles that you see coming ahead here in the 2024-2025 seasons?
Although call centers are difficult to build and to scale, there's a lot of saturation. There's a ton of people calling and making false promises, and that saturation side of it has made it very difficult. The other is just some of the TCPA changes. Right? They're putting things in place that are making it really hard to even make a phone call or send a text or send a message. So those are making it really difficult on how we're going to be able to move in the future.
How are we prepping for it?
Well, one is just staying on top of it, knowing what they're doing. The benefit is not a lot of the changes are happening until Q1 of next year, but we're looking at bringing on our own internal marketing team. What this will do is allow us to have that one-to-one consent. It'll allow us to reach out to them, follow the guidelines, protect ourselves, and still be able to help our customers.
Love it. Cam, those are all the questions I have for you. This is a wealth of knowledge from years and years of experience, and it just goes to show how lucky we are to have you at Fusion. And anybody watching this, I hope, whether you're a rep or you're in operations or a sales partner or anybody outside of the organization, I hope that you can kind of get a sense of how much thought, work, and tenacity goes into making something like this work, the talent that it requires. We're very, very blessed to have this team working so hard to do what we've been able to do, largely thanks to you, Cameron, for everything that you've done. Appreciate you being on with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys bringing me on and allowing me to build a badass team.
We appreciate everybody watching today. Keep going out there, keep working hard, help families go solar. We'll see you next time.